Hi, thank you for joining me. This is Myth Busting with Keystone Wealth Partners. My name is John Hagenson. I'm the Managing Director of Keystone Wealth Partners. And today we're going to talk about a myth that many of us have fallen victim to at some point. And that is looking at past performance to determine what the best investments for the future are. Right? All of us have gotten that prospectus that says past performance are no guarantee of future results. But yet, oftentimes we don't know any other way to determine what investments we should purchase or what investments are the best investments for the future. Well, let me put this in context with the mutual fund world. If you go into a traditional financial advisor and they're going to sell you some mutual funds, they're usually going to show you some mutual funds that have performed pretty well in the past, right? Of course. Those are much easier to sell you than ones that have not performed well in the past. But keep this in mind. In any given year, approximately 85% of all active mutual funds will lose to their broad index in any given year. Now, what does that mean? You might be thinking, what does that even mean? What I'm referencing is that if you own, if we're looking at like a XYZ mutual fund company that's a large cap United States growth fund, 85% of that universe of those types of funds will lose to the S&P 500 in any given year. Now, what we need to recognize is if 85% will lose, what does that also mean? 15% they'll win, right? And when you go to a traditional broker or financial advisor that's working off of commissions, they're going to sell you one of those 15% that has won. Those are much easier to sell. The problem is, for the next decade, or in most investors' case, we only hold our funds for around 3 years, and that's a subject for a totally separate video. But 3 years later, we're sitting there looking at our mutual fund wondering why it's been getting crushed by the S&P 500 because it was supposed to be this great fund manager. Well, the reason is because track record investing based upon past performance is completely unreliable, and there's little to no correlation with a manager's past ability to pick stocks and their future ability to do so. That's why we advocate more passive strategies that 85% of the time beat the performance of active managers, are significantly more tax efficient in taxable accounts, are more broadly diversified, and are significantly lower in cost. So if you want to learn more about that, how that might apply to what you've done, you can contact us at Keystone Wealth Partners. Thanks for joining me.